this week. It's all about packaging your story, maximizing the effectiveness of telling your story. And everyone says go out there and share your story. Well, how do we do that? Let's consider this. What's the elements of your story? Well, of course, there's really simply 4 elements. And of course, the first one is your introduction. That's obviously your name, where you come from, what you do. And then, of course, the second one is what was your life before Reliv? What were you doing in your health, with your business, with your family? What was going on in your life? And that's a good starting point, obviously. And then you talk about your life within Reliv and also your life after Reliv. And of course, what's important is to let people know what your commitment is to make Reliv an ongoing part of your future. Because I tell you what, as it says there at the bottom of this slide, stories take the appointment from being a sales call to just being about sharing. And that's what we talk about. We always say go out there and share your story. We don't say go out there and tell your story. Go out there and share your story with people. It is a very, very powerful tool and the most powerful marketing tool that you have. It's really important, though, you understand what the objective is in sharing your story. It's not just going out there to tell people how good you feel. The objective is to actually sponsor preferred customers and distributors into your business. And you really need to consider who it is that you're communicating to. And you know what? It doesn't matter if people have heard about Reliv or haven't heard about Reliv. If they know a lot about it or don't know a lot about it. You go about it in the same way. You share your story. And really, there's 6 points to packaging your story. It's really straightforward. It's really quite simple. And as it says here, here's who I am, where I was, what I heard, what I did, what happened, and where I'm going. So let's have a look at point 1. Here's who I am. Well, it's obvious you have to tell people your name. You tell them where you live. You don't give them your address. Let's not get down to too much detail. We don't want to get bogged down. But, hey, if you're talking to someone, my name's Birch. I live in the North Shore of Sydney. That's if you're speaking to someone in Sydney. If you're speaking to someone in Melbourne, hey, yeah, look, hi, my name's Birch. I live in Sydney. I'm here in Melbourne for business. And, of course, you talk about what your occupation or trade is. And that's really important because people get some sort of feel for what you're doing with your life depending on what you do as a job and what you do in your 9-to-5 life. Okay, so it is important, but also don't ramble. It's really important that you don't ramble when you're telling your story. It's really important that you practice it. It's really important that you know what to do. And it's important that you have a structure, which is why this webinar is being set up as the first webinar for 2014, so that you can start off the year by structuring your story so that when you go out there and you share it with people, you're sharing a story that's succinct and to the point. And depending on the situation, you can get through that story and take it to the next step. So point 2, hey, here's where I was. Well, you've got to look at what were the circumstances at that point in your life when you first got involved as a distributor with Reliv or as a preferred customer. However you first got involved and with the products or was it with the business, consider that. What were you doing? Were you working really long hours at work, which a lot of people do these days? Were you stressed, which a lot of people are these days? Were you struggling financially, which of course a lot of people are these days? Were you unhappy with life? Because some people are. Actually, a lot of people are. You walk down the street and you have a look around, there's a lot of people out there who are not happy. And we can change that. But you've got to have a look at where you were at and remember clearly where you were at when you came in. Don't look at what you're doing now. If you've been in this business for 2 years or a year or whatever, what were you doing? How did you feel when you started? That's important. Because I tell you one thing, one of the dangers of being in this business for a while is you forget what it was like when you started. And it's important that you remember that for when you bring new people in and when you're talking to new people. So remember what it was like for you when you started. And of course, the next point, here's what I heard. So who did you hear it from? Where did you hear about Reliv? Did you hear about the product first? Did you hear about the opportunity? Who was it that told you? Was it someone close to you? Did you see someone run an advertisement in the newspaper? Did you see something on Facebook through social media? Where did you first hear about it? And what was it that you actually heard? What did you hear? Was it about the products? Was it about the business? It's really important that you get that clear. For most people, it's the product that they hear about first, and it's a particular product. And someone might say, give them their story about, they had a terrible knee and they started taking AFX and they found that their pain was gone in their knee and they're feeling better. And so You relate to that because you had a problem with one of the joints in your body. You know, it might be just about someone who had lack of energy and they got on now, and that's the same thing for you. So you've got to remember what that was, and that is what you put into your story. It's really clear, keep it simple. And here's what I did. Here's what so you think about it. What did you decide to do? Did you start straight away? Did you need to be convinced? You know, did you want to talk to some other people? What exactly did you do? How long did it take? What influenced you to make this decision? Was it the person who spoke to you? Was it getting third party? Did they put you on a third party call with their upline? And was it the person that they talked that you talked to there that you were connected with? Was it a testimonial or you heard from someone else? Did you get a testimonial online? Did you go and have a look at our website? Did you look at our Facebook page? What influenced you to make the decision? And how long did it take you to make that decision? Because that's something that's important too, because some people take a long time. Some people like to mull over and think about everything. Other people jump in straight away. But you've got to remember what it is that influenced your decision. Okay, and then you just say, point 5, here's what happened. Hey, I use the products, these are the results, and wow, man, it was fantastic. But remember, use only approved product claims. That's really, really important. How much did you earn in your first month as a distributor? You know, what are you earning on average now? How fast did you get your current title, and how fast are your current income? And another thing, a disclaimer there at the bottom of the screen. You know what? Never say that you're guaranteeing someone an income, because you can't do that. Because in this business, it's about people's commitment, it's about their effort, you know, and it's about them getting out there and putting in the time that's required over a consistent period of time and being persistent. So you can never guarantee what someone's going to earn, and so it's important that you're aware of that. You can say to them that you may earn. Okay, just important that you remember that. But it's all about your income, and talk about your income, talk about your titles. Let them know what that is. And obviously it depends on the time, but we'll get to that in a moment. And of course, here's where I'm going with it. You know, like me and my family will be using these products our whole lives, you know, because we've all got such great results out of it. By this time next year, I expect to be earning X thousand dollars per month. You know, I'll be taking my kids to wherever for the first time, to Disneyland, to SeaWorld on the Gold Coast. Whatever it is that you've got, whatever plans it is that you've got for taking you where you want to go with your Reliv business, this is where you talk about that. But be very clear about what it is that you want to do and where you want to go. It's like making a little vision statement, you know, and you look at the product, personal, family, and income, as it says there. It's about being very clear in a succinct way, have this little vision of what you're going to do with your business. And this is a vision that you can share with people very clearly. And it may be a short-term one, and that's okay. It might be just in 6 months' time. It might be in a year. It might be in 2 years. We're not talking about your big, huge vision. Sure, you can share that with people if you want, but we're just talking about things that people can relate to. Like if your vision is that you want to own a home on the canals on the Gold Coast and have a 70-foot motor launch and live a lifestyle, you know what? Some people can't relate to that. Some people can't relate to that because they're earning $60,000 a year and working their bum off. So they can't relate. So it's important that you be aware of who you're talking to, who your target is, and who the person is, your audience, who your audience is that you're talking to right there and then, okay? So here's where I'm going. So the 6 points here, and it's just to summarize here, it's here's who I am, here's where I was, here's what I heard, here's what I did, here's what happened, and here's where I'm going. And you break it down and you keep it structured like that. If you use that structure and remember that structure, it will stop you from diverting. It'll stop you from rambling. It'll stop you from going off at tangents, because sometimes you don't have time to do that. And when it comes to your story, what you need is you need to have different versions. You've got to have that quick, let's call the elevator version, the 30-second version. You've got to have a 2-minute version, which is just a quick chat where you actually have that time to stop and have a bit of a chat to people, maybe get someone on a 3-way call. And of course, then you need the longer version. You know, we call it a 5-minute version here, but you know, it could be longer than that because it might be a discussion, a dialogue with someone. It's in a conversation. You're talking about your story, and they're asking you questions. But you need to be clear on each one of these, because if you've got someone in a situation where you've got a minute to talk to them, you don't want to give them your 5-minute version, because it ain't going to work. You're going to lose them. You've got to use the version that you require at the time that you're in. So let's just have a look at a bit of an example. This one actually takes about 45 seconds when you run through it. And so we'll just do it as a bit of an example. Hi, my name's Bernie. I'm from Sydney and I work for a large company in the telecommunications industry. Look, I've been working for 80 hours a week and I was feeling the stress, just trying to keep my head above water. And about that time, a friend of mine called me and told me about a product that he was getting great results from, including better sleep, and he had more energy. And I tell you what, I was tired and stressed out, so I decided I'd try the product. And you know what? After a short time of the product, not only was I getting a better sleep, but I felt more relaxed and I was coping with the stress so much better. So I tell you what, I decided to sign up and get the product every month. I began to share my results with my family, the guys at work, or my friends, and I realized that I could make an income from this. You know, the person who introduced me to it told me about that. And pretty soon I had people signing up and ordering the product, and in just 4 weeks my first commission payment from Reliv was $500. I sold more product through referrals from people using the products and found that other people were also interested in making some extra money to supplement their income. Right now I'm averaging about $1,500 a month. I expect this to increase considerably over the next 12 months and have a plan to replace my full-time income. I don't want to be working 80 hours a week. I don't want to be working in a full-time job. I want to be doing this, and I'm excited because my wife and I can see us paying up our credit card debt and 2 cars and owing nothing but our mortgage. So that's really simple. That story, bang, 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 bang. You're hitting on some points in that are people, it's going to resonate with most people. But you can change it. You can do it whatever you want, whatever is relevant to you. Whatever is relevant to you is what's important for your story. And that literally took me like 45 seconds to get through that. And that's all you have to do with someone. But it's really important. Be concise, be relevant, be specific. Be concise, relevant, and specific, okay? Why did you become interested? That's such an important thing for people. Why? What was it that got you interested, got you involved? But I tell you what's really important. Leave out irrelevant details, guys. Leave out the irrelevant details because people can waffle. It's okay to embellish. It's not okay to waffle. You lose people. And, you know, there's a lot of detail, especially people who like detail. You need to discipline yourself, and that's why you need to use a structure when you're building your story and you want to go out there and share your story. Stay within the structure, stay within the framework, be concise, be relevant, and be specific. Just some learning points from what we've talked about here, okay? Speak from the heart. Always speak from the heart. People will feel that. You know, if you're telling the truth and you're talking from your heart, you will engage so many more people. Like, don't go out there making medical claims, okay? Don't go out there saying that you knew Joe Blow and, you know, he had this disease and that disease and it cured it overnight. Do not say that. You can give someone's personal testimonial, you can share your own personal testimonial, but don't be making medical claims. You're just making a problem. But I'll tell you what about telling a story. The more you do it, or sharing your story, I should say, the more you do it, the better you get. And the more time you take to practice, to write it down, to structure it, and have the 3 different levels of story, the better you get. And the better you get not only at sharing a story, but you create it better, and you get better at gauging which is the right story to share at that particular point in time. It's really important that you don't get into the sales pitch mode. That's really important. It's sharing. You're sharing a story and sharing what's happened with you. Remember to always smile. Tell it with passion. Like, be contagious. Because if you're smiling, if you're happy, you're passionate about something, it's hard not to be contagious, and it's hard for people not to get engaged. And listen, if it's not necessary to say, it's necessary not to say it. I'll say that again. If it's not necessary to say, it is necessary not to say. So in other words, don't go off again and ramble. And I've said this 3 or 4 times in this webinar today, but I can't stress upon you enough how important it is not to ramble, to be succinct, to be concise, to be relevant, to stay within the framework. Focus on how Reliv has changed your life. You can share how it's changed other people's lives as well, but you know what? The most important thing right up front is how Reliv has changed your life. An anonymous quote, which I love: your life is your message to the world. So make sure it's inspiring. And you know what? It can be inspiring. It can be inspiring by you using the products, getting your results, sharing your story, getting involved in the business, going out there and sharing your story and get more people involved in the business. creating goals, achieving those goals, having a vision, reaching for that vision and driving towards that vision. And as your goals are set to help you towards that vision, to keep achieving them and to keep aspiring for more. 2014 is really going to be our year for growth. And I say to you that this is the time to really throw yourself into what is happening with our ignition strategies, with Reliv throughout Asia Pacific. We are on the crest of a wave, guys. We have got so much behind us with the science, with the products, with our opportunity. We need to be out there and sharing it. And don't let anything get in your way. Don't let naysayers or dream stealers. Don't let your negative speak get in the way. Don't let your worrying about how things have changed from the past. Let the past go. It's all about looking forward and moving forward and using what you have as tools in front of you. That is the future. That is where we can go. And that is why 2014 can be the best year you've ever had. I want to thank you for being involved in our webinar, listening to our webinar today, packaging your story. And as I said, it is about maximizing the effectiveness of telling your story or sharing your story. And remember, each week's webinar is advised via email and Facebook every Monday. And again, I want to thank you for being on this webinar today. And please get out there, sponsor, promote, advance, and ignite your business. Thanks, everyone, and bye.